So I will start, okay? First of all, good morning. My name is Fernando Mendez. I'm going to present our research about the assessment of the effects of the Colombian armed conflict on the environment. It's a review paper. I'm PhD students of the Hungarian University of Agriculture and Life Sciences, belonging to the Department of Landscape Protection and Reclamation. And my tutor is István Valánszki, that he's also co-author of the paper. I try to be as quick and as possible. So the introduction is related about the causes and consequences of the armed conflicts in the environment. For the causes, we have mainly two kinds, are the direct causes and the indirect causes. From the indirect, the most important are the bombings, the confrontations, and the military infrastructure. These causes are generally appears immediately or in the short term. In the other side, we find the indirect causes that are not necessarily related to the confrontations or the military activities. They just appears within the medium or long term. The most important of these causes are the agriculture, illegal crops, cattle ranching, and the forced and non-forced migration. In the consequences, we have also like two types of consequences. One is the direct impacts, mainly are the deforestations, the land use and land cover changes. Normally they take long term to appear. Also, there is the forestation, like the increase or the conservation of the forest cover can happen also, may happen. And in the indirect consequences, we can find the abandonment of agricultural lands, the collapse of environmental governance, and the increase of climate change. So our study area is Colombia. It's a transcontinental country located in the northwest of South America. It's a transition zone between various ecoregions, the Andes mountain range, the Amazon rainforest, the Pacific Ocean, the Caribbean Ocean, and the Orinoco flat lands. Most of the ecoregions has been affected directly or indirectly by the armed conflict. For the materials and methods, we search for papers related to armed conflict and environmental consequences in Colombia. We found 65 articles, but from these 65, we found just 19 that use remote sensing analysis. As you can see in the table, we can see that both are has the same trend, the same trend. After the negotiation period, the negotiation period started for the peace agreement in 2013. The researching start to increase, and in the post-conflict, so after 2016, the number of papers has increased considerably. Also here, you can find that you can see that the conflict period is the most studied, and the comparison between conflict and post-conflict stage. In the pre-conflict, there are just few papers about that stage. Regarding the results, we first analyzed which are the departments more studied. We found that Antioquia and Caquetá they are not the biggest and not the most populated, but they are the most studied to analyze the consequences of the conflict in the environment. regarding about the regions, that is like the biggest subdivision administrative. We found that Andes and Amazonia, Andes is the mountain range, are the most studied. In the opposite side, we found that Pacific and Orinoquia are the less studied, even if they have also a large forest cover. Then we search for the ecoregions, that are the regions related with biomes. So we realized that the most with the highest forest cover density are normally the most studied ecoregions. Mainly northern Andean, Magdalena Brava moist, the Cordillera Oriental, and the Caqueta moist are the most studied. Mainly are this area, because they have the highest cover density, forest cover density. In the opposite side, we found that the desert or the paramo are the less studied, because they have also less forest density, forest cover density. Regarding the satellite imagery sensors, we found that Landsat, mainly Landsat 6 and 7, and Landsat 4 and 8, were the most used to analyze these consequences. So these are moderate spatial resolution sensors. Also, some few studies use QuickView and Google Earth and MODIS, but not so many. And regarding the scale, we can find the relation, because these moderate spatial resolution sensors are generally used to analyze the national or global scales. The local or landscapes are more related to the very fine or fine spatial resolution. About the causes and consequences, we found that agriculture, illegal crops, and direct confrontations plus cattle ranching are the biggest causes that were studied as responsible to make the changes in the landscape. And the main consequences, of course, are deforestation, and land use and land cover changes. And paradoxically, deforestation also happened in some regions of the Colombian ecoregions. We found that 53% of the papers mentioned that in the study area happened deforestation and forestation, but in different phases of the conflict. Regarding belligerents, so the armed actors there, we found that FARC, that is the guerrilla, that they signed already the peace agreement, were mentioning in the 42% of the publications. Then the paramilitary groups in the 31, ELN, that is another guerrilla group, and the National Army just in the 5%, and almost the half of the publications didn't mention explicitly which group generate these effects. For the discussion, well, we found that the ecological footprint generated by the forced migrations and non-forced migrations create this expansion of agricultural frontiers that have a greater incidence than any other affected and any other factor generated by the conflict. Direct causes related to warfare are not the biggest driver of deforestation, but indirect causes as illicit crops or timber extraction represents the biggest threat of deforestation. Remote sensing is highly useful in order to assess these armed conflict study areas. mainly because the difficult access to access directly to these study areas because security reasons. Um, our analysis also suggests that interaction between conflict and other causes of deforestation is significant and maybe in some cases counteract the effects of the conflict. As conclusions, we can say that demographic variables are important in the region and ecoregion scales and appear as a consequence of the armed conflict, mainly to the forced displacement, the IDP, which in some areas has resulted in forest regrowth. Each ecoregion has been affected in different ways by the armed conflict, and most of the ecoregions have presented afforestation stage, mainly during the high intensity conflict period. We found that in many papers, the deforestation start to increase after the post-conflict period. Transition ecoregions in the foothills between the Andes mountain range and the Amazon rainforest has been the most studied area. As we said, is because mainly the forest cover is more dense in these areas. And also in these areas is where are located the biggest coca crops, the illicit crops. And finally, the post-conflict has increased the deforestation and the land use changes, mainly because the expansion of the agricultural border and also these coca crops, the illegal crops in the area. Thank you so much. I hope that I've used enough time, not so long.